don't really think so here. As much as I would like to say that draft was an issue, draft was not an issue at all because it was really down to a few things. Kagendra's composure and the way that they position and the communication, these three things. So to break it down, in game one, Kagendra's assistance for Senko after he ults was too slow. That's number one. Maybe it's communications. Maybe it's like disagreement on whether to engage or not to engage. Second one is composure. When we see a lot of mistakes in the mid-game to close off game two, that's where you know they are still having doubts. They're still having some errors in their planning phase. They need to play more flawlessly. I mean, it's expected stuff, right? You need to be flawless to close off games, especially when you're playing such a low error margin hero like your draft, right? Like Arlie, Pei, and also Shi.
Exactly.
One wrong move, your entire lead is blown out right through the window.
Let's wait and see what's going to happen for this next game. Look at that. Kagendra might go and lock in that Jing. It is going to be a lock. It's going to be their first pick. They want to keep playing on that big core jungle. Jungle assassin. Let's play the Jing. The problem over here is the Dominator Esports, they have the Liang as an option against that Jing.
Yeah, it's very wide open here, but if you pick the Liang, there's still the likes of the Guigutsu, the Guan Yu, all these potential counters that could really impact the Liang's out succession, right? When we talk about Liang, it's really good against assassins, but if you fall off, if you can't get like big plays like the Haya, it's not really that good going towards the late game. And I like the pickup here coming in from Dominator Esports, Long and also Twilight. So this Long, we might see the tank build Long with first item like Frostcast Embrace into the Axe of Torment, the physical defense boots come into pro play.
Look at that, Kagendra on the other side, they do not want to allow the Yanji and Dolia combo, and they decide, okay, let me have that Dolia for myself, and I'm gonna get a little bit more of sustain, even more sustain over there in the mid lane with the Yuhuan.
Yeah, that's a very strong late game carry composition as well. You are taking away the Dolia combo with the Yangjin and also pumping up extra damage in towards the hands of Senko here. So you have a strong early to mid game jungle in the hands of Fei Shi with the Jing, Broken Mirage, and you have a mid to late game tempo mage on the hands of Senko with a lot of pressure that's being generated because you can use double unending sorrow, which is Yuhuan's ultimate, to force positions, to force engages on towards the backline.
The mods pick over here on Dominator Esports, are they looking for poke? Are they looking for control? I think I'm not against the Motsu pick, but I think that's so early in here just to go for that Motsu. It's not something that they could have prioritized. They could have prioritized other things instead of that.
I think it's more towards a lane and 2v2 counter because when we talk about the Dolia, she works on sustain. But when we talk about the Mozi and also the Long, these two are very aggressive lane setups that's looking to dominate 2v2.
I see. So you think that it's just gonna be more not thinking about the big fights, but just thinking about the small 2v2s and 3v3s instead.
That's true. Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
And for the side of Dominator, they're saving their mid lane all the way to that final pick here, hovering that Cascada Lady Zen for the hands of Jorl here. So we are looking at a rather interesting one for Dominator Esports. If the Long goes for the physical defense build, the tank build, they're gonna lack a lot of damage in that late game. So it's down to CC to see which build he wants to go for. Is it the traditional crit build with the Eternity Blade, or is it the Axe of Torment plus the Frostguard Embrace build that we see a lot recently?
I don't like Dominator Esports composition a lot. I'm not very fond of it. I feel like it's missing a lot of initiation, like the initiation that's going to be come with some poking and some slowing down coming in from the mods, and then just the pressure that my Yin can put on the back lane. But on the other side, Kagendra with the double ulti that you can get coming in from the Dolia, and then just being able just to have sustain because of the Yuhuan, it's going to allow the channel to have a very consistent, a very stable environment for him to just keep farming and move forward and just burn minutes until it's gonna scale up. in terms of composition, I'm liking KAGENDRA's composition a lot more. Would you agree, Sagi?
I think it's much more, I would say, solid, right? It's like we see everything that we need. Okay, tempo in terms of the Dolia Yuhuan combo, and also the likes of the late game environment coming in with the channel late game power spike, and then you have the early game that's being covered by the Byron and also Broken Mirage Jing. And then you take a look at Dominator Esports draft. Engage, maybe we see it coming in from Trilight with the dog on towards the enemy for a spell, or we see the Peacekeeper spell 2 on towards the zap on towards the enemy. Is it the best one? Not necessarily. So that puts a lot of pressure on towards Tough Z on that Martial Genius Mayin to look for those backline assassination, which is not the most consistent engage coming in from DMT.
Not the most consistent here from DMT, and that's gonna just give KAGENDRA an opportunity for them to be a little bit more on the attacking end, right? Like, I hope that KAGENDRA in this game, they can be a little bit more dynamic, try to be a little bit more aggressive, try to control the tempo and the decisions of the game. They did not do badly when they had the opportunity in game number 2. Let's see if in game number 3 they can keep polishing that strat, and if it is gonna give them a little bit more dragons.
And my worry for DMT's draft, they have essentially 3 losing lanes in terms of push. So Channel doesn't do well. Channel does extremely well into Long. Senko and Lu dominates that mid 2v2 in terms of pushing power. Solly, technically, on that Byron is super strong in that early game, which allows things like this. Facial on that Jing has exceptionally high smite rate. Because why? When you have the Mirage separated between Jing and the Mirage, which is the mirror, you double your smite.
I am going to expect to see in these first 2 minutes Facer just showing us a little bit of the experience that he has got, right? Like, just for him to show us how he can just put KX into a little bit of a problem. You already saw just Facer just coming and taking control of that red buff, and right now it's going to be KNX, the one that is going to be extremely behind in terms of gold and farming. Look at that, comes in, takes that blue buff, and it's only level 3, when on the other side Facer is already level 4. Look at that.
Yeah, very painful stuff, especially in the early game. That's why Jing is such a strong jungler when you have lane priority here. We see Tough Z on towards the top side here, being forced away by Senko. And towards the back line here, we see Facial popping that Broken Mirage. Does get pushed out by L here. Good play coming in from the Dominator roamer. Cancel off that engage.
They needed to cancel that up so they could actually go back. Sadly for them, Senko did not have his ult available in there because he could actually follow up and force something against DMT. Look at that, Tux is just having such a difficult laning stage against the Byron. Solid right now just having the time of his life because there's nothing that Mayin can do against the Byron at this stage.
Yeah, that's the early game for you, the Byron into the Mayin matchup. It's only about farming. And once again, Facial coming in with the Mirror Domain into the smite, getting that double smite value, stealing away yet another Crimson Golem from the hands of TNX.
There's nothing that KNX can do right now at the moment. It is going to be Facial just collecting and snowballing a lot more and more and more. He already has 1 level advantage, probably is going to end up being 2 in any moment. What is KAGENDRA supposed to do with this? We're making it all the way to 3 minutes mark. If they can continue with this kind of pace, the 4 minutes milestone is going to be completely for them.
It's looking really good for KAGENDRA as of this point right now, but only one suffering right now in all these exchanges is actually Zan in that 1v1.
Yes. Zan is the one that should actually have a little bit of a better time in there, right? Like, CC just flexing in his mechanics, showing us how that Loom is going to take out of that situation.
And we're looking at an interesting build as well coming in from CC. It's not the traditional crit build that we talk about, it's the tank build that we suggested for the recent long build. It's really good when we are fighting multiple assassin team compositions here, but TNX is a bit behind on farm, 2 levels down, so where does the late game damage come from? Because Tough Z's losing lane, Gerald's a control mage, so who's gonna do consistent DPS?
There is no damage coming in right now. There's nothing that they can do. They can only pray right now that Gerald is going to be able just to land his ulti into multiple members. Look at that. Mirror Domain is going to be proud.
Yeah, Mirror Domain prop here, but think inside the box, catching on towards Face here. Gets the refresh on towards Dolian here. Has the second Mirror Domain. L, first to fall, so this should be a free objective for the side of KAGENDRA. Face hyper aggressive on this Jing right now. Gerald has no flash, and we see the members of Dominator trying to look for an engage, but that's solid. He's so tanky. He's almost going down, but has the heal. Forced to pop the flash and walk away for safety.
It is going to be a great start over here for KAGENDRA one more time. They not only start taking the kills, they take the Tyrant as well. That's going to give them a bit of an advantage. They can start putting some more pressure. And it's going to be TNX, the one that's going to have to try to find a solution. He cannot just keep letting Jane coming in and take that golem for free. Every single time.
This is not a TNX fumble. This is a, sorry to say, a draft issue because you have 3 losing lanes. Who's gonna defend TNX jungle?
There's nothing that they can do at the moment. It's gonna just completely depend on KAGENDRA just being able just to capitalize out of this advantage that they have. Look at that. If they decide just to take that over there, it's gonna have to be Majin. It's gonna have to proc. Majin has no ulti. Flashes straight into the wall.
Yeah, he has to pop the flash here because that's so much damage coming in from Facial. Look at the gold graph right now. Facial is rocking 4.7k, almost 1.5 ahead of his jungle opponent and everybody on the map.
Has destroyed a tower. Red team has destroyed a
tower. That is the kind of debut that he wanted to have right now, right?
Yeah.
That is the exact kind of debut that we wanted to see.
For now,
look at that, the pressure coming in.
Pops the Mirror Domain on towards TUBZ here. TUBZ, no flash, caught in the middle of 2 people, and a Mirror Domain gets executed, and that top turret will be fallen down as an additional prize for KAGENDRA.
And the problem in here is that when you see that TUBZ is being just ganked in there, there's nothing that any of the other members from Dominator Esports can do. Look at that, right now it's going to be the next target is going to have to be that high ground turret. Nothing that Dominator Esports can do at the moment.
And although I am a fan of the tank lane build, but the problem is, if you're the sole carry of your team and you decide to go to tank build, you don't have enough damage to handle Byron and a double one that we talk about here. Solé going in a bit aggressive here. TNX with the Heaven and Earth form catches on towards the backline here. Senko gets the refresh coming in by the Celestial Melody. We see TUBZ going in 1v1 against Solé. Limps away with a sliver of health here, but that is already mission accomplished for KAGENDRA, already securing that mid-tier 1.
This is looking exactly as the previous game. KAGENDRA fully in control of the map, fully in control of the goal. They have an advantage. Let's see if they can learn from their mistakes and see exactly what they want to do. Look at this on the other side though. The damage dealt, CC and Gerald are gonna be the only options of damage coming in for Dominator.
Facial going in with the Mirror Domain here forces the Infinite Baskets away from the hands of CC, but Facial, you are caught in a middle of 4 Dominator members here. That's already the first fumble here, but they do get yet another kill on for Solé. Big mistake coming in from KAGENDRA. We talk about how strong their composition is, but if you fumble plays like this, that's gonna be detrimental here. And Zan in a bit of a long lane here with no back off, but hey, he still managed to get the turret and managed to limp away for safety. But you have such a strong lead, you cannot afford these mistakes here, Solé and Facial.
Let's take a step back and let's try to breathe a little bit in this situation because KAGENDRA, they need to be careful in there. Facial cannot just keep dying like that because then that's going to be the same scenario as we had in the past. We don't want that right now. Good from Zan that was able just to capitalize out of the pressure being over there on the clash lane. He came in and took that tier 2 farm lane with turret in the bottom lane.
Yeah, turret's looking really good so far for the side of KAGENDRA, but in terms of goal lead, 2,000 solid for the side of the El Manu. I need to see how they play the 10th minute mark to a perfection to further pull apart the game. In terms of composition, they're looking really good. They're outscaling, they're out-damaging. Facial goes in with the mirror domain, forces out the Splendor coming in from Jurl. Still has it, uses it. Facial gets the first assassination here. The Tyrant goes over the hands of TNX. Fight continues on, but Senko uses the ultimate, keeps all the members alive. Health bars are blinking low, but no one on the side of KAGENDRA is to fall. First one to fall is Lu. CC forces to use the Infinite Bastard, but that's 3-4-1, a valid exchange for the side of KAGENDRA.
KAGENDRA right now, one more time, just coming in. They know that they have the advantage over here in these fights. They have the gold. They need to start just winning them. 9 minutes and 30 seconds. They're gonna have priority over the objectives. Let's look at that instant replay one more time. We know that TNX is the one that claims the Tyrant to go to that. What cost in there?
I think Tyrant or not doesn't really matter because this is still not the Shadow variant.
Exactly.
We have to see Senko provide so much value through the healing. Because why? Facial took off the only member that had healing reduction coming in from DMT, which led to the heals coming in from the Dolia, the heals coming in from Yuhuan to be exponentially high. And right now you see Senko going super aggressively with that aggressive unending sorrow. TNX will be the first to fall coming in from Dominator Esports. PUBG, no flash. Senko doesn't continue the chase, but they have already came and they have already conquered. But through the middle of this trade, Lu does fall. So it's a 1-for-1, still okay for Dominator.
When I start analyzing here, what is Dominator missing from their composition? It needed to be the Dolia Yanjian over there. That needed to be the first two picks that they needed to have in there. I do believe that Yanjian with a Dolia would have given TNX a lot more stability to use his ultimate to regenerate a little bit more, because right now he's being very aggressive, but he every single time that jumps in is falling again and again.
Fully agreed, right? But you still have to give props towards Facial. Even without the Dolia, he still engaged that early game super well in getting those early game Crimson buffs from the hands of TNX as the fight does break off in towards the red side Crimson area. We see Zan flashes away towards safety here, limps away with a sliver of health. That does leave no DPS for the side of Dominator Esports here. Look at Solly, undamaged, not even the shield, not a single bit of health removed from this Byron. That's the problem coming in from Dominator's Esports draft. There's no consistent DPS.
Byron over here is just such a big problem for them. Right now it's going to be KAGENDRA, the ones that they're going to pocket in that Dark Overlord. It is going to be tough right now for DMT to try to continue the fight, as right now the pressure on their high ground turrets is going to be completely on.
Yeah, 5,000 gold lead. Overlords marching down towards the bottom side here. If KAGENDRA can look to end the game with this Overlord, it's definitely good news. If they cannot, just tear down all the tier 3 towers and it's already going to be a good setup coming in for that final few push, because this is not 16 minutes, this is 12 minutes and it's already looking super well on for Zan, for Facial. Items are starting to come in.
The big difference between this game and the previous one is that in the previous one, Dominator had a hero that could, at the 30-minute mark, just completely carry the team. They do not have that kind of composition right now, so it's looking very, very green for them.
You see Solay flashing in, goes for the backline immediately here. But hey, he's a Byron, he's tanky here. Meanwhile, he's soaking all the damage. TNX is picking off in towards the front line here. Dropping one member for a high ground. 1-for-1 trade is super worth it coming in for the KAGENDRA draft. They can rotate towards the top side, pick off that top tier tree, and then recuperate for the farm in the enemy jungle.
Look at that, they're going to brute force their way through that turret, and it's going to be only one more high ground turret that is going to be standing. The last fight might be this.
Yeah, Mirror Domain pop, chunks out all the remaining members' health here. Double Unending Sorrow to chunk off the all health bars coming in from Dominator. A well-played game coming from KAGENDRA in this game 3. Denying the 3-0 win for DMT. This is the start of comeback for the El Manu.
This is not going to be a clean sweep, and it might be KAGENDRA just going from a 0-2 to a 3-2. Which of these is going to be? They are set the scenario to look at this amazing game. Game 3 is bringing us top level performances.
I think in terms of game 3, right, from the draft, from the early game planning, all the way to the mechanics showcased in this game, KAGENDRA, from coaching staff all the way to the full members, did exceptionally well. From coaching staff, they drafted 3 winning lanes, and then they made sure that Fei had direct access towards the jungle, making sure that every single Crimson Golem from minute 1 to I think minute 6, all 3 of them was stolen away from the hands of TNX. And then you see the side of Dominator's draft, it's alone. And no constant DPS, no carry mid, no carry clash lane, no carry jungle, because the carry jungle was already eliminated in that early phase. So where's the DPS to realistically take down tanks like Soleil's Byron? There's no DPS. It's just a tank lone build. Exactly.
There was nothing that they could have done against that Byron. That Byron could actually just completely just walk through the mid lane, just walk through the river, looking and staring at people in the eyes, and then no one would dare to stand in front of him. Nothing they could have done against him. It was just very poor decisioning from Dominator in terms of the BP. It is a best of 5. Game 3, maybe they did not want to completely just burn out all of their options. But KAGENDRA in game 2 and game 3, they have been the better team. So the fact that they are down right now to 1, it does not say that Dominator has been actually better. Because if you look at most of the time, it has been KAGENDRA having a better control of the game. So Dominator Esports, they should have wanted just to end things quickly in this one, but they're just giving one more hope to KAGENDRA, and let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do in the next game.
I think BP will be a really important factor coming in for these both teams, because we saw game 2, KAGENDRA leading, but they played towards their composition, which allowed Dominator to claw back into that late game phase. Now in game 3, like you mentioned, there's no late game scenario for the side of Dominator because all the heroes don't really do that compared to a flowable marksman. So this allowed KAGENDRA to fully utilize that lead that they generated in the early game to close off that game that we saw. Everyone did their parts in this. Fei from early to finish, consistent jungle invasion against TNX, and then when Senko and Lu is online, we start to see double and ending sorrows bombarding the backline.
Just the area of effect of those abilities is just so big, man. Like it's just in terms of that, like when you understand the abilities of your heroes, when you understand the abilities of the options that you have, you can actually open a big variety of options on how to win the games. KAGENDRA comes into the match already having a very big advantage since the beginning. Then hopefully when we see the gold graph, you will be able to see that gold graph gap, that window started opening since probably minute 2, minute 3. Look at that. Since minute 2, it just started opening there for KAGENDRA all the way. There was no way for them to stop it. Immediately, very early in the game.
There wasn't enough constant crowd control to really lock Fei down on the Broken Mirage. And then we keep seeing the same thing happen, right? Okay, we leave the 1v1 towards the farm lane. We consistently invade the side lane that had the winning matchup. Byron into the Mayin. Yes, you cannot compare them in the mid game. They have different duties. But in the early game, Byron, one of the strongest 1v1 machines that could 1v2 in lane, got the priority, mid lane 2v1 against the Lady Zhen. Even if it's 2v2, 2v3, Yu Huan Dolia, one of the strongest pushing powers in the first wave. And then immediately you see 4 members charging in to help Fei invade that early Azure Golem, the Crimson Golem.
It was just good synergy from them, right? And I love to see that because it just says that Fei is just kind of like just reactivating that fire inside of KAGENDRA. It's just completely just giving them a completely new life in here. And that is important. When we analyze the one-to-ones in here, like when we get the head-to-head and we start looking at the data in there, it is just very interesting just to see that in terms of vision, there is a very big difference between what Top Z and Solid were able to do. They had different responsibilities. So that is why they completely, when you analyze their graphs, they don't even replicate each other at all.
That's the thing, and we have to give props to Coach Muffers for drafting a solid draft for KAGENDRA in this game tree, because from start to finish, he really outdid the BP for exactly this game. But this needs to continue for 2 more games if KAGENDRA wants to complete that miracle reverse sweep that we are talking about here.
Let's wait and see what KAGENDRA can do in there. I really hope that they can, regardless of the result, I really hope that they can keep playing the way that they're doing it right now. Very aggressive, very dominant in terms of what they want to do in terms of the game. I hope that they can keep entertaining us like that. Zan and CC. CC, he had an amazing second game. In this one, it was a lot harder for him to actually carry the team.
I think it's down to itemization, right? Like we talk about picking bans. You have so many tanks. I mean, not so many tanks. You have like decent tanks coming in from the side of KAGENDRA. And you don't have like strong DPS or late game aside from the Lung. So maybe that Lady Zen in that last pick, maybe consider changing it to a Nuwa, Celestial, or a stronger late game mage. Maybe that could elevate CC's pressure on being a single source of damage, because no one expected Fisher to dominate the jungle matchup so hard.
No one was expecting that. No one was expecting that. And no one but Fisher himself. Fisher himself, he actually knew that he had total control over this. So he was the only person here that knew exactly what was going on. Hopefully we will be able to see him in one more of those big jungle core heroes. There's still a very big variety of them out there that he could actually choose from. Now let's see, from KAGENDRA, the MVP for this game, number 3, is going to be Fisher on that Jing, Broken Mirage.
A beautiful execution coming in from Fisher. Aside from that single play towards the top side, where both Solly and Fisher went out of tempo and actually faltered to the enemy hands, I think all his mirror domains were effective. Every single one is either to catch up the enemy, or it is to chunk off the enemy's health bar, or is it to single out a single target. He was really active on this Jing.
And when you have the option of just having the Dolly out there just to provide you a second mirror domain, you don't have to be so much pressured in terms of the timing, right? Like you can be a little bit more loose in just the way that you actually are playing your ultis.
You can be flexible, right? Because first remote domain goes in, and then you capture the enemy, and then use it to bail off or to continue for that engage. But this is the fight that we talk about here. Because of Fisher removing Drill on towards the map, you don't have Venomous Staff or Imperial on any single member coming in from DMT except for Drill. That's why Senko and Lu just piled in all the heals on towards the teammates, which led to no single member falling for KAGENDRA on that previous fight.
I mean, here in this one right over here, as we come into the high ground battles, right, like 10x not being able to sustain at all, and then you just lose your jungler very early in this matchup, in this fight, creating just a power play very early for KAGENDRA.
Yeah, KAGENDRA playing the composition to a perfection, executing the coach's game plan to a very high level as well. From level 1 all the way to the finishing mark, they did it with a level of expertise. So now